it's a joint base with McGuire.
No.
It's no longer basic.
Yeah, a lot of it's private now.
Reservists and National Guard.
Yeah,
Been like that for a
And a
while.
prison, and a state, and a prison facility.
yeah, we inspect the prison up there.
I said it's been like that for a while.
They have their own gas system.
They're closing all kinds of stuff down.
Okay, just one thing I forgot, flame eye unit, we were talking about it earlier, basic on this, 3 things you need to operate it every day. Clean filter, charging the battery, where's the fuel bottle, did I take?
I had to take it out.
Oh, okay, and fresh, fuel. The main thing with these, same thing, don't get water in it, keep it clean. And then the fuel, we gotta watch that, it's got a plus or minus 2% variable, it's 60% nitrogen, 40% hydrogen. You get too far out of that mix, the machine can have issues, okay? And then also the fuel needs to be certified to have less than 0.5 total hydrocarbon contamination, 0.5 ppm. Another problem we often run into with these is they'll buy another bottle of gas and they send them commercial grade gas and it's full of crap. Remember up in suburban Cleveland, Columbia Gas up there called me one day, oh, our flame eye units are screwed up, they go full scale when we light them up. Can't calibrate them. So I drove up and I'm looking, boom, you light it up full scale. So I said, let's go out and check your bottle, and there's no certificate. I said, what's in the bottle? They said, well, it's 60/40. I said, is it certified? Did you test it? Well, no. Well, here it was full of hydrocarbon contamination. It was commercial grade, not lab grade. You need lab grade gas or calibration grade, and here the problem was the gas.
We just switched suppliers, so.
Yeah, it's coming out of their catalog, they pretty well know. Main thing with these, not much you can do to them. If it doesn't want to light, especially when we get into the fall, it gets cold out, they're all marked. Right here, 15 PSI is the operating pressure of the internal regulator, and that's what this guy is for. You can hook this up, see if you're at the 15 with the bottle connected. If it needs to be adjusted, you pull this plug right here, and that's where the regulator's at. You need an Allen key, and you can turn that, but I don't recommend adjusting it more than a pound either way. If you can get it to light, you're good to go. If you can't get it to light, then it needs to come back in, something else is happening, okay? And the other thing on it, maintenance-wise, you got O-rings on those bottles. You need to put a little lubricant, a very tiny amount, just what I call a whisker. You got that little, like makeup container with that non-hydrocarbon based grease in there. Just touch it. Get a whisker on your finger and go around. If you put too much lubricant, that ends up going into the inlet of the regulator where it accumulates dust and dirt, and that's what causes these to fail. So keep that in mind. Pretty reliable piece of equipment. However, flame eyes are going away. All right, just about. There's not too many companies that are still operating them. You know, they want to get out of the hydrogen fuel business. Okay, I'm going to tie things together here. We talked about the physical properties of gas. We talked about the safety of natural gas, the LEL, the UEL. What I'm going to try to do, and we also went over the operation of the GMI, so we're going to demonstrate, physically what the GMI can detect. When was this calibrated last? I don't know. I guess we'll find out if it's calibrated. But we'll demonstrate what I call the lower explosive LEL, UEL, okay? I have a training device here, training tool. It's called an explosion chamber, but it's actually a non-explosion chamber because it's made to come apart, all right? If I were to glue this thing together, we'd have a problem because there's no place for the pressure wave that's created when you convert natural gas by adding, igniting it. There's no place for that pressure wave to go, like a building. But this is designed to relieve the pressure when we initiate an ignition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my GMI on, hopefully in a gas-free atmosphere. What did you have to eat last night?
Tacos.
Oh, did you finish the pizza this morning?
No.
Did it still in your truck?
Oh, you left it in
Yeah, I did.
Under your seat. I wonder if the smell on it.
It's under the front seat.
Kind of stuck in your dashboard.
matched it into the bed.
We're gonna forget sandwiches.
All right, my GMI's up and running. I'm gonna turn the pump off, and years ago, we used to supply aspirator bulbs with these. And you'll notice when the pump is off, the digits are flashing. And that happens also with a sample fault. You get a sample fault, the pump stops working. That's to let me know if I'm in a high noise area around a compressor or something, and I'm trying to use my machine, I look down and the digits are flashing, that's telling me I left the pump off, so I'm not gonna get any kind of a reading. Or sample fault was initiated. So, all right, I'm gonna introduce some methane. I got pure methane here, 100% in the cylinder. And we'll go ahead and put a little bit of gas in there. And we'll take a reading. Boy, we're really pushing the gas today. Went right over where I wanted to be, so I'm gonna vent
Yeah,
that.
let's take it easy with the gas, huh? I'll just have my hair done, you know?
Okay, I'm right at 5%. Got a number 5 there, okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna introduce a spark right here at the top of the cylinder. Break time. And we'll see what happens.
Oh, I gotta get one of them.
That's cool as hell. That was cool.
Did you turn the lights out and do it?
Yeah, we'll do that, we can do that.
That was cool as hell.
Well, what's happening though? I
Created
thought
a
this thing was made to come apart.
Created a vacuum.
That's
Oh,
right,
well did.
It's actually.
It's big, like
Yeah,
Created a
that's
vacuum.
it.
yeah. Here we go. What happens is we're converting matter. Matter.
Doesn't matter.
So you get methane, CH4, we get oxygen, O2, right? Nitrogen, and you get the right mixture, and you cause ignition, and a chemical reaction takes place. It converts. And it becomes, what do we see here? Water vapor. Becomes water, CO, CO2, and nitrogen. So we break the molecule, the methane atom molecule is gone. Now, the water is heavier, definitely heavier than air, more dense, so we end up with a void when we do that, and that's what causes the vacuum. If you have an incident, more often than not, what we call the secondary pressure wave is almost as destructive as the primary. So I have an ignition, there goes the blue flame away from me. Now it's going to suck makeup air in to fill the void, and that will pull windows in. So one side of the house, the windows are going out. The other side of the house, the windows are coming in. Depends on how tight the house is, but that can happen. A mine or a sewer, large diameter storm drain, worst case scenario, if you happen to have people in there and gas ignites, it's almost like a 4-stroke engine. Every other manhole, it's either blowing out or sucking in. And you look down the road and you see that lid blew off, that one didn't. And it's going boom, 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 boom. Blow, suck, blow right down through the manhole, igniting and pulling in makeup air. Worst case scenario for a first responder or a fire guy is it already lit off. We're good to go. Wrong answer. Because if you haven't controlled the source of gas, what's going to happen next? I still have gas in here because I only consumed the gas where I had the proper gas-air mixture to this point. I did not consume the gas down here. So if I have still a broken main or a pulled service or whatever feeding that, now I got residual burning from building materials that have caught on fire. I got an automatic ignition source. This is where we often get in trouble because we think we can enter when we absolutely cannot. Okay? You follow me there? See the physics, the mechanics of what we're doing? All right. That was my friendly little gas genie. Right? Sometimes I get a little blue flame, didn't show up this time. That was a very lean, was it blue?
Yeah, we're right on the edge.
Oh, okay. That was a very lean mixture, right at about 4. Well, actually, see, I'm using 100% methane. Go back to my graphic there. Pure methane LEL is 5.3. That's that close. whereas natural gas 4.5. I was right at 5% here, so I was right at the edge for pure methane, 5.3. Okay, so right there at the LEL. Let's change the conditions. You smell that? That's the pizza I had last night. Garlic.
Couple beers.
All right, I want to open this guy up, clear this guy out. I'm going to move the ignition point now from what would be the garage door opener or a light on the ceiling. We'll put it down here to the wall switch, middle of the room. And we'll introduce some more gas. Mm-hmm. 8%, 9%. All right, so that lazy bluish flame coming down from the top of the cylinder. Off. Go ahead and turn the light off back there if you would. Thanks. All right, watch the middle of the cylinder here. You can put it back on.
Somebody should chicken. I did.
Big difference. Big difference. You hear the detonation? Boom. And it goes out and then up. Pressure relieves itself and then it goes back down real fast and consumes any residual combustible that's in there. And that would be a significant explosion. Okay. Just looking at the rate of speed. And you know, people often say they hear a boom. That's because the flame wave is going supersonic. Most often, a gas explosion is a whoosh. That's an overpressurization. It's a whoosh. The building may make noise, okay, but the pressure wave itself more often does not. So you got a couple of things happening. You see again here, I got my water vapor. Now I do have an odor there, and that's aldehydes. Byproduct of combustion. That's associated with carbon monoxide, and that's often what the homeowner smells when they think it's a gas leak, when indeed they have a failed heat exchanger. It's like burned plastic, an aldehyde smell. CO has no odor, but the residual byproduct does.
The aldehydes, they're noxious.
They are toxic, yeah, but they're not in a concentration usually that the CO is a bigger problem, but the aldehyde is an accompanying odor. If you walk in on a house,
More nauseating than anything, right? I mean,
it can be. Yeah, it can be. CO symptoms real quick. Walk in a house, you got a slight odor. Number one, how do the people look? You know,
It's like they're sick.
they're pallor, skin. But the other thing I found, living room, you got water on the walls.
Soot, yeah.
In the winter, you may have moisture on the windows, but you got the walls look like somebody just took a shower. Okay, you got moisture because the byproduct of combustion is water vapor. Okay, so you got a catastrophic failure of a flue or a heat exchanger, you're going to have significant water vapor. Get out. Get them out too. All right, let's put some more gas in here. It's cheap, right? Good price on gas. Open that guy up. We're going to move the igniter back up here.
We're just filming this for insurance purposes.
It's like that maple when I get home later.
Okay. Let's see what my GMI does. 5%, up, LEL, maxed out, 95, 100. Percent gas, 4.5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we'll let it flow for a while.
Ruined underwear.
Mm-hmm. 18,
I'm sorry, I thought you said 18.
23, 25. Yeah, let it go for a little bit. 30%. $35. Okay. Worst case scenario. I got a building full of gas. What's gonna happen if I try to ignite that?
Too much gas.
Let's see. Watch the top of the cylinder. I got some oxygen there. I got ignition. You see the color of the spark? Yeah, it's in a rare gas atmosphere. All right? Rare gas atmosphere. There's more gas there than there is oxygen. It's stable, but unsafe. Now we gotta get that gas out of there, and that's your worst case scenario. And that's why, again, we have issues with venting. You should only be venting if you know exactly what's going on inside that structure. So what we're gonna do, open that valve, and I'm gonna do my due diligence here, open the front door, open the back door, go upstairs, opening the upstairs window, creating a nice venturi into that structure. Nobody turned off the electric, nobody turned off the gas yet, so what's gonna happen when the temperature in the house goes down?
Here it comes on.
Here it comes on.
Thermostat's gonna call for heat. Yep. Oh, 19, I thought it was 14. Okay. Let's watch the bottom of the cylinder now. You can turn the lights back on. Did you hear that thud? That's a detonation, yeah. It's a detonation.
The chair.
And again, my cylinder's nice and snugly tight. But that's the worst case scenario right there. You got the optimum mixture, I was 10% or greater, and my ignition point is at the lowest possible place it can be. So if it's the water heater or a sump in the basement, it does indeed blow up and then out. Okay, blows up. That's where you get the maximum destructive force when you're dealing with a house you don't have control
Once
over.
the 5% burns, it burns all of the gas, correct?
At a 5% mix,
They say it's 5% in the basement and 55% in the attic.
Okay.
It'll burn all the way to the attic, won't it?
well, again, here we got the makeup thing. We have an interesting video years ago. Look at all the water vapor in there. And I can definitely smell the aldehydes. I got some CO in there. I have a video, it's called Kitchen Works, and this was in Harrisburg, PA. The gas company got a call, damage to a service line into a strip mall, and this particular building was on the end. And it was a restaurant, bakery thing, and they were remodeling, and somebody out back was excavating for a storm drain behind the building, and they hit the gas line. 70-pound service going into the back of the building. So now they had blowing gas. The fire guys get there, the TV gets there, all right? They're already set up when the gas company first responder, Mike, gets there, and he says to the chief, what's going on? And the chief says, oh, I got a couple of guys in the basement, checking it. He said, get them out of there, and he takes off to the building, and he gets to the back of the building at the back door, and there's a set of stairs going downstairs, and they got shelving with bags of flour and all that in there, and the TV's on one of the fire trucks, okay? And at that time, Mike hollers to the two fire guys, hey, I need you to get out of here. And right where they're standing is the distribution panel. And they reach up and they pull the main breaker. TV's looking at the fire truck, you see it go boom. That was the primary explosion because there's a hell of a lot of gas. And the TV guy turns it just in time for the secondary, because now it lit off, sucked in air, was too rich, mixed the air, and then the roof comes off, and it's just like an atomic bomb cloud. A mushroom comes up and expands over the building, and the two fire guys are standing there in darkness and daylight, that quick. They weren't hurt. They climbed up the stairs. I think they might have been walking funny because they might have soiled their equipment. The gas company guy, Mike, got blown ass over tea kettle into the side of a van, which actually probably saved his life. On the van, you could see his hard hat, his shoulder, and his right hip, where he pounded that van, broke both his ankles with the impact. when he got blown out of that, because he was right there when that flame wave went off. It literally flushed him from the doorway, and then sucked in air, and then it went kaboom. So, yeah, you're right. You got LEL mixture at the point of ignition. You got higher concentrations above. You're definitely going to have a significant, you know, ignition at that point.